Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Whistleblower Experience with Danielle Spencer. I am Danielle Spencer, and I will be hosting today's podcast. This is my very first podcast, and as I outlined in my online, I wanted to focus my podcast on explaining and educating the listener about the different retaliatory TTPs, which are tactics, techniques, and procedures, sometimes called protocols, that can be used to try to silence a whistleblower. It is my belief that the more you know, the better you are, and the more prepared you can be. I am hopeful that this podcast will reach a wide audience of people, both past or people who have been whistleblowers in the past, that they should be able to feel free to share their experience and also share some of their mitigation strategies that they have used and what was successful to them. And I also want to educate and inform, and this is most important and very important to me, future whistleblowers. While I was aware that there would or could be some type of retaliation, I really was not prepared for the depth of and the breadth of what would be coming or happening to me. So I wanted to be able to inform other individuals so that they would know and could better prepare for what may be coming their way. I don't want to discourage anybody from being a whistleblower. The worst thing that we can do is, because there might be some retaliation, because there might be some blowback, the worst thing that you can do is not take a stand against corruption or wrongdoing. It does not make it go away. So the best thing to do is to be prepared and prepare yourself, because there are a lot of things that you can do beforehand to prepare yourself for the eventual retaliation that is going to come your way. So first, I wanted to give a little bit of background on me. Again, I'm Danielle Spencer. That is my pen name. That's not my given name. I wrote a book called Digital Assassins. And while this book is the characters are fictional, the conversations that are fictional, the events that I have documented in the book are real. And those are the retaliatory TTPs that I want to explain in more detail in the podcast. When I first started experiencing these TTPs, I would say the first group, I would call them administrative TTPs. They were things such as the lowering of my performance rating, the blocking me from being able to get other jobs, or stopping me from getting the form is called an SF-50. And for those who have worked for the federal government, they'll know exactly what type of form that is. But for those of you who never worked for the federal government, this is a form that every time you leave a job or any type of personnel action happens in your career, they generate what is called a quote unquote SF-50. For those of us who've been in the federal government some time and we're considered either vested or tenured, that is a very important document for you to have, because there are some federal government jobs that are only open to people who have that specific status. So one of the TTPs that I experienced, that, like I said, that I would call administrative, was for them to block me being able to get my SF-50, so that I was unable to apply for jobs using that vested status. Some of the other TTPs that were used against me, I would call them privacy violations. A couple of things that fall under that would be things such as obtaining my security adjudication file under false pretenses. And why I say that this is a privacy violation, for anybody who's ever undergone a security check or a background check, you know how thorough and how much information is located in those files. For those of us who work in the federal government, not only does it have a lot of information on you, I mean, all of your personal identifying information, such as your full name, your date of birth, your weight, your height, your eye color, your social security number, your address, any previous address you've had from up to 10 years ago where you went to school. But it also has information about your family members, their full names, their addresses, your coworkers, and anybody who has given you a reference, and all your past supervisors. So I also experienced things of those natures. But the ones, the TTPs I really want to focus on first are the ones that I call fabrications. These are where I believe that events and or documents were created that get or paint me or show me in a unflattering light. And these are the ones that I believe are the most detrimental. They're the most concerning. And these are the ones I really want to bring to the audience and let you know, well, how to be able to identify them and how to be able to protect yourself from them. So, having said that and given that background, the first TTP I wanted to talk about was, as I pointed out online, was the creation of a false title search report. So, what this was is for anyone who's owned a home, and you have equity in that home, you can apply for and get approved for a home equity line of credit. And part of that process, and it's closer to the end of that process, is for your lender to hire a company, usually it's a title insurance company, and have them do a title search report. Now, the purpose of this report should be doing a thorough research of the title of the home to determine if there are any liens and or judgments against the home. So what you would do, you would find out everybody who's on the title, see if they have any liens or judgments against them and the home. Now, typically, most people, if they're able to get through the first few parts of the home equity line or home equity process, they are approved. The title search report is just, it's quote unquote gravy. Very rarely will it bring back anything. Well, my experience after becoming a whistleblower, the lender that these family members use, I'm on the title of their home, but the lender that these family members use, their title, the title search or the title company created this false report. And by false report, I mean they took a title search report, went into a state database, found liens and judgments that were still open, that did not have an address associated with them when you pulled it up on the screen or on the database, and that had any variation of my name or these other family members' name. And what they did, they found those liens and they put it in the report and falsely said that these were liens and or judgments against the home, the title of the home. Now, Again, these were completely false and made up. They found a total of 7 that they could use, totaling over $140,000. Now, out of the 7 that they found, 4 of them they attributed to me, and these 4 equaled over $123,000. Now, when we got the report, which we had to get from the lender, we were very upset and we tried to fight the report. The lender immediately said that they had to decline the loan because the title of the home did not come back clean or clear. And what they said was if something happened and the loan was not able to be repaid, all of those judgments and liens that were listed in the title report would have to be paid first. Now, you can imagine how upset I was, how upset these family members were, because we were basically being discriminated against, or we were being harmed due to somebody else's debt. They didn't belong to us. And when I started researching, trying to figure out how to determine that to prove that these debts didn't belong to any of us, that was a very hard process. And this is kind of why when I outlined this online, that I said, why is this such a successful TTP? Well, one of the reasons why it's such a successful TTP, it's that it's very hard to prove that a debt is not yours. The company who owns the debt or that's reporting the debt, if it doesn't belong to you, they're not going to give you any information about the debt. They're not going to talk to you about the debt. That would be a violation of that individual's privacy for them to have that conversation with you. One of the companies that I did speak with, the representative was quite dumbfounded. She couldn't understand how they did not know that the debt did not belong to me because the Social Security numbers didn't match. And she really didn't understand how that could just show up as a debt attributed to me when it was not my Social Security number. And it was a variation of the spelling of my name. This was once I got this information, I shared it with the title company, with the lender, trying to get this report cleaned up. For several days, going back and forth, the title company agreed that the most they were willing to do was that when these family members went to settlement, they were willing to remove them then, once the loan was closed. However, the lender said, we can't go to closing, we can't even schedule a closing until we have a clear title. So it was basically a catch-22. And there was nothing that we can do to try to, or at that point, there was nothing we could do to kind of force this title company to stop reporting out information or to rescind the report and issue a new one that was telling the truth. So the next 2 things I'll talk about first is, I'm sure there are questions. Well, why do you think that this government agency that you are a whistleblower against, why do you think that they were involved in this particular incident? Well, there are a couple of things reasons why I believe they were involved. The first thing is that the bank that this family member was getting a loan through, they were founded by this government agency. Now, I did not know at the time. The family members, they didn't know at the time. This was something that we learned through the process, that the government agency against which I am a whistleblower actually founded the bank. The second thing is that one of the major branches of this lending company is located within this government agency's building. So if you go into the building on the first floor, you would go in, and one of the major branches of the lending institution is in this government building location. The third thing is that, or the third reason why I believe that they are involved, is that based on Google research, two of the lending organizations, two of the board members of the lending organization appear to have a working relationship with this government agency to which I'm a whistleblower. If you probably have noticed, I'm refused to say the agency's name, but they are the agency that collects taxes for the United States. And what it appears that one of the board members is actually an employee for this agency, a director. And the headquarters, it appears that this headquarters, or we call them in the government PODs, or position where you're located, is in that same building with this, where this branch is. So what I have learned in this process about the home equity line process, because these family members were able to get all the way through the home equity line process, the only way that it could be stopped at this point, because they already had the pre-approval, would be for it to come back with a title report that was not clean. Now, the only reason why I believe that the title company or the title report did not come back clean is because I'm on the title of these family members' home for will purposes and for future planning. That's why I'm on there, but there was no idea that, or even assumption or belief, that me being on the title of their home would cause them any harm. Like I said, they got through the pre-approval process because I wasn't on the loan, but as soon as it got to where my name was brought up, and that's when they started having problems. And again, out of the 7 judgments and liens that they could find, 4 of them belonged to me, and they totaled over $123,000. So the next thing I wanted to talk about or explain is, well, how did we resolve, or how was this situation resolved? Well, I will say right now that the situation is still pending. The good news is that these family members were able to get the approval for the loan, but that didn't happen until me and these family members, we had to file a lawsuit against this title company. Not something that they wanted to do or something that I even wanted to do, but that was the only way to break the stalemate. Right now, the lawsuit is pending, but what I believe, that was the only thing that caused them to change their mind. We had to file the lawsuit is a fraud and intentional infliction of emotional distress lawsuit because of what had happened. We filed the lawsuit, and after we got the information where the clerk of the court stamps it so you can serve the parties that you're suing, right after they were served, the loan, all of a sudden the title search report was cleaned up, they removed everything, and the loan became approved. after they were served with the lawsuit. So the lawsuit was already in process. Between the time of filing the lawsuit and serving the lawsuit, we also contacted and filled out complaints with several federal and one state regulatory and oversight or governing bodies to explain the situation and explain what happened. Um, from the complaint standpoint, the federal level, we really didn't hear anything. There was, from what I can tell and what I can remember, from the federal level, nothing was done. There was no investigation or anything. From the state level, had a very, very interesting experience. The first person that I spoke with after filing the complaint tried to dissuade me from continuing with it. This individual, who I have his name, he kept trying to justify the existence of that false report, almost blaming it on me and these family members, that the reason why the report was false and had this information is that our names were too common, that's your fault. If you had a name that was not common, then this would have never happened to you. Now, I've never heard of that being a reason why someone can falsify information. And you think about it in contents, if you or I did that, if we were to falsify information, we wouldn't be able to get a pass like that. We would be very much prosecuted for committing fraud. But I spoke with this individual who wanted to justify their actions. So when he could not dissuade me from continuing with the complaint, the next stage was several months of providing information and working with an investigator. I believe about 6 months later, the outcome of the complaint came back, and they ruled that, and I'm paraphrasing, basically that they didn't see anything wrong here. What the justification, my understanding of what I read, is that the title company was justified in asking us for more information. I saw no reference to the false report. It seemed to center on them asking us for more information. And so what I did was I filed a appeal and asked for a hearing. And one of the main reasons was we had no problem with them asking us for additional information. That was not the basis of our complaint. The basis of our complaint was that they produced, developed, and distributed a false report. That the investigation that the state entity did, it never considered or researched or really even looked into our complaint. It was almost as if they decided on their own complaint and investigated that and came back with a ruling on that, not what we actually submitted. So right now that is in progress, and we're waiting for a date where we could actually have a hearing so that we can talk about the complaint. The last part of it is the lawsuit. As I stated earlier, it's still ongoing. Right now we're in the discovery phase. In my second book that I'm currently writing, I'll provide a lot more detail about the lawsuit, about the discovery phase. Like, for example, some of the questions that they asked, the information that they were trying to get, some of the tactics that, we sent them questions, we sent them requests for documents, some of the responses that we got, some of the stonewalling we've encountered. For example, one of the excuses as to why they could not respond or give us a discovery response was that they didn't produce the report. Um, the report has the company's name on it. We have several email conversations with an employee of the bank, of this title company, but their excuse is that, well, they had nothing to do with the production or the distribution of this report. So, like I said, right now we're in the discovery phase. In a future podcast, I'll provide a status onto where we are, or what happened and what was the outcome of the lawsuit. But that was one of the TTPs, or this is one of the TTPs I wanted to discuss. Now, why is this such an effective TTP? It is my belief, as I stated, that these individuals have really thought out different ways of how to retaliate against whistleblowers. And one of the ways that one of the methods that are used, and I believe it's mostly used in crime families or mafias and gangs, is that you try to isolate this one individual. So the family members that were involved, they love me dearly, and they're not going to abandon me. But the hope would be that if you're around this individual who's a whistleblower, that one of the things that they would try to do is to cause as much harm or chaos or discord in these other individuals' lives, in the hopes that they can either get them to abandon their friendship or their relationship with this whistleblower, or possibly even turn against them. It is my belief one of the biggest things that these people who retaliate against whistleblowers are trying to do is to damage your credibility. The goal is to damage your credibility, and anything additional that they can do on top of that, like make you lose your job, cause you to go into financial ruin, cause you, like if you're married or if you're in a relationship, to break up your relationship, to cause you to lose your friends. Anything else is gravy, but the first goal is is to make you not look credible. And in this instance, in the future, like I said, I'll talk about other TTPs, but they haven't been successful, at least in my case, with the other TTPs. So this was an opportunity for them to create or have an official document that these individuals could use to question my credibility. Here is an official document on a reputable company's letterhead that says that she has 4 outstanding liens and or judgments totaling over $123,000. That would, in security adjudications, in any lawsuit or anything that may come up, they could use that to put into question my credibility. So that was one of the reasons why, in addition to it just not being right, why me and these family members and I are fighting this so hard, or fought it so hard. Eventually, like I said, after they were served with the lawsuit, they admitted that none of the judgments or lien belonged to us, and they issued a clean title search report. So we were finally able to get that done. But to me, the methods that or the strategies that we had to do combat it, I don't believe it needed to go that far. So, what are my hopes of sharing this particular TTP and my story with people? Are, like I said, first to inform, to let people know what can or may happen to you if you become a whistleblower. So if you become a whistleblower, look out. This could be an avenue that they use to try to retaliate against you. The second thing that I would love, or one of the things I'm really passionate about, especially saying after seeing this happen, is I'm going to pursue legislative and policy areas where we can change this. The title search report should never be able to be used like it was used against me and against my family members. So right now I'm pursuing and seeing if I can get some legislator to listen to me, some policy person to listen to me, to where something is put in place that when a title insurance company produces this report, that it's accurate, that they should not be able to produce a report that's false and fraudulent without any repercussions. And so that's, those are my goals, and those are my aspirations in hoping of doing this. I want to thank you guys for your time. Thank you for listening. I am on social media, on my website. Please drop me a note. Let me know what you think. Send me any questions you may have. If you know anybody that I can reach out to where I can further my goals of trying to get removing this particular TTP as an arsenal or a weapon that can be used, I'd greatly appreciate it. And I will see you all on my next, or talk to you all on my next podcast. Bye.